So came the business.
So came the business.
So
You are the business.
okay. Do you remember when I came to you and said I wanted to quit my job?
I do.
Okay. And we weren't even married yet.
We're not. We were engaged,
We
though.
were engaged.
Yep.
And I was like, I want to quit my job and start something. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to start something. What did you think? Like, what were you feeling?
I said, go for it. Green light, go. You were always a woman of major faith. To me, I thought you could see God very clearly. And because you saw him very clearly, you lived with so much faith and hope because you knew who he was. And up to that point, I saw your character. I knew that you had a great work ethic, and I knew that you knew how to collaborate with people, and you were a team player. I knew other people want to participate with you. And so I was excited for you. You were excited for it. And I said, go for it.
Yeah, it was like no hesitation. You were like, sure.
I think too, being exposed to you and others who have been in that field who are not entrepreneurs, I saw how much that it kind of sucked a lot of time away from them. And so for us having a desire to be parents and have kids and just grow and build our marriage, I think that I saw the idea of more capacity, more margin, more balance, more rhythm for you as an entrepreneur than you working for somebody else.
That was really my motivation when starting the company, because I really wanted to make sure I had a good balance. You know, people say balance is unattainable, but I do think there is a way to create like space and room for something, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough room in my life for our marriage and for our kids. And the way I was working before, there was really no room for really anything aside from work and sleep. I was doing a lot of work. I was working a lot. It was my thing. I loved what I do, and I still love what I do, which is why I didn't want to stop doing it all the way. But I was like, I gotta figure out a way to do this, but also create space to be a wife and a mom. Laughing? What is funny about this question? Are you remembering the beginning?
I mean, you were out there by yourself.
By myself.
On an island, solo dolo.
By myself.
Me, myself, and you.
I was very prayerful about it all, and I remember God told me to tell 2 specific people. So they were the first 2 people I told, and those 2 people were the first jobs I got. Because it was like, as soon as they knew I was available, they hit me up and started sending my way, or referring me to friends. And I literally did everything. And I am not a videographer. I am a producer out here rolling up with a camera and some mics, trying to mic people and film them. It was a mess. And edit it. I literally did. I mean, I did it though. We did it. Yeah. I did it.
I think it made you, it grew in you a capacity that you wouldn't have had otherwise, because you had all the roles, had all the jobs. So then when you started having a team, you could really train and equip them, truthfully and authentically to their role, because you did it. I think you really lived out and got to experience, God's solution to success, being faithful with a little to give you more. Like, you just kept having a little job here, a little job there, and more would come. And it was neat to see that having is how you rewarded faithfulness.
Yeah, I tell people it's miraculous to me, because I'm not the type that's like gonna sell myself. Mm-hmm. But it's like, ever since I said I was available, like ever since I put those words out of my mouth to the 2 people that the Lord told me to tell in March 2017, every month since then I have had a job. Not gone a month without a job to do. Since March 2017. So yeah, it's a journey, but we here, and I don't have to edit no more.
So when I think about the addition of Alexis, the song Just Got Paid by Johnny Kemp comes to mind. Just got paid Friday night. Because you have such a big heart and you want to help everyone. To me, your business is more like a creative soup kitchen for those who want the content. Because you just, here's a video, Here's a shot. You were just giving stuff away.
I didn't know I was giving stuff away. I honestly thought my numbers were stretching people, and really they were, because sometimes I would say something cost something, and they would be like, I ain't got that. But that's because I was also working with people who, some of them, this was also new territory for them. So all of our budgets were tight. Like, we were building together, and so I'm like, okay. But like a good month would be bringing $500 home. That was a great month, and I thought I was doing something for real. Like, ooh.
You have to go to Chipotle.
I brought home $500. We could pay our light bill. You know, like it was. That's just the reality of starting. When you start, like, the small things are huge. You know, and so that was really big for me. And so that's really kind of how things were. Up until Alexis came in the mix as our operations manager, and she was like, no. She looked at these numbers and was like, what are you doing? Like, this makes no sense. You're making zero money. You're actually in the negatives. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I made $500. No, actually, it costs $60 for you to have your editing suite and all your gear. It costs $35 a month for you to have your Dropbox. Like, she broke down for me my expenses in a way that I wasn't thinking about, like the cost of doing business. And she started coaching me and teaching me and getting these numbers together. And that's like a big 180. I think her coming in the mix really changed the game on it going from me being freelance to actually a business owner, legitimate business owner. That's for sure what she did.
Yeah, when you hired her, you hired a feeologist. She had a fee for everything. I look in the mirror fee. I fill up the gas tank fee. A drive down the street fee. Look in the rearview mirror fee. A brush your teeth fee. It was a fee for everything.
She just helped me see the value in every little thing. Like, even like when you're texting and on phone calls, like, that's work.
Time is money.
That's time, and you're spending time communicating to your clients, and you should be compensated for that time. As if you were a full-time employee somewhere, your salary is going to cover all those little ancillary situations. When you're working for yourself, you have to make sure you cover yourself, because otherwise your hours are just getting eaten away and you're not even realizing, like, oh, I've been texting them for an hour and a half. Like, that's time I could have used somewhere else. But anywho, she came in, and definitely it was a big mindset shift for me to be able to be like, oh, okay, this is how a business functions. Oh, this is what it means to have 30% margin, profit margin, or like to have a profit margin at all, because I didn't even have a savings account. I saved taxes, but like the business wasn't profiting. I wasn't really making money. I just was taking money that was really supposed to probably be spent on operations and thinking I made something, you know? So it was just a big shift in mindset, a big shift in education and understanding how business works. And it also helped me stay on top of the stuff that I'm not the best at. Like, so most creatives are great at being creative, but we're not always the best at staying on top of contracts and SOPs and getting your invoices out on time and stuff like that. So really bringing her into the mix helped get some of that off of my plate, to where I didn't have to figure it out, think about it. You know, it was like she really owned the operation side of things, and it really helped us take off. Okay, so in 2021, it was the first year I felt like, oh, we for real about a business. We had done multiple live events, we had done multiple virtual events, and we're just getting really good, consistent clients, and team was growing. Like, I think we were about at a team of 7 or so by then, and it was feeling really good. And we had 2 kids, and they were both under 2. It was a lot. It was a lot happening, but it was good. It was all good. And then the end of 2021 was like, I still sometimes it still doesn't feel like it happened. Like, it's so surreal that you don't even think it happened, but it did happen. But at the end of 2021, we found out that there was breast cancer in my body, and that was real unexpected. Do you remember that?
I do.
Well, of course you remember. You can't forget.
How can I forget? I remember being on the couch like this one. This wasn't green, with you and your mom was in the room, and your doctor called, and gave us the news, and I remember crying, and your mom crying, you getting really quiet. Remember we prayed, but we both knew without saying to each other leading up to that moment, because of some of the words that we were being taught in our local church. Our pastor was hitting home things like the sovereignty of God, the providence of God, the trials that he'll intentionally put you in. We both kind of thought something was coming. We didn't know it would be this. And so we were excited. I mean, I don't want to say excited at all, but we were anticipating a challenge and a faith walk. We were anchored by truth for the trial that was coming.
Yeah, so like, some people go to the doctor and hear you have cancer and they're completely shocked and shattered. I heard the words and I was like, that's what I expected to hear. It was like, not that I wanted it, but it was almost just like the Lord had said so many things leading up to, and then like you said, like our pastor, the sermon series we were in at the time, I just expected it to be what I thought it was. So it was like, I felt a lump, went to the doctor, and I was just like, they're gonna tell me this is cancer. Like it was a weird knowing, did not at all make it easier. It didn't make it like joyful or expectant of a miracle, because I still was like, this could go either way. I could be gone in 3 months. I watched it happen to a friend, and so I'm like, yeah, okay. And I kind of just went into like fight mode, like changed my diet, started exercising. Like I wanted to be here, and so I don't know, it's crazy because I never stopped working in the midst of that either. It was like, you got 2 kids, still under 2 at the time. They were 1 and 2, and when this 2-year-old was about to turn 3, and I still had this business, still had clients that needed stuff done, and we kept going, but it was really hard. It took a lot of support.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, in God's providence, even professionally, you had a team. You had a stacked team, and you weren't a one-man show, one-woman show, or one-woman army, and so you had a lot of people that you kind of built capacity in, and you saw their strengths and gave them opportunities, and you have no shame and no pride that gets involved that prevents you from delegating and handing things off. And so that was very helpful in allowing the business to sustain. And it was good to remind you that it's not about you, because you're not able to do as much. And so that's a healthy, dose of humility and just a good reminder.
That's a good point. I never thought about it like that. Like in the moment, I know I thanked the team a lot. I knew I could not have kept things going. There was no way. I mean, there were days, months where I'm going through treatment on the couch, can't walk across the room. So let alone working, fully. So.
And I remember one guy on your team, he even, to show solidarity, he shaved his head. And you were like, man, you better grow that hair back because you didn't have to go through this, just me. So let me do this part by myself.
Yeah, but like our team is so great. Like I just love everybody we work with so much, because it's not just like getting the job done, but we really like look out for each other. And all of us don't have like specific coworkers, but it's like in a way we are each other's coworkers, because we're the team, we're each other's first call, or we're the ones that we're thinking of, when it's like we need to get a job done. And then to go through something as hard as we did, and they rallied around me personally and the business even, and they kept it going. Where our clients, we didn't miss a beat. We didn't have to tell a single client, no, we can't do that because Candace is in treatments. Like we never had to say that. We took on new projects. We did things we had never done before. We took on a whole live event we had never done before that was both in-person and hybrid audience. And like, I was able to say yes to those clients because I knew I had a team that had my back, that had the businesses back, and kept everything going. And our clients were happy, and we had a great year while I was in treatments. Like business-wise, it was great. Personally, horrible. Personally, the worst year of my life. But business-wise, we did well, and that's just because of the strength of our team, for sure.
The team gets a lot of the credit, but God gets the glory. a lot of times he'll rig circumstances to where on the outside looking in, it looks like there won't be success. And the initiator of this company, this business, is on the bench for a season to some capacity, and it still did more than it did the year previously. So that's an amazing feat. Also, I do remember early on where we did have conversations of, I think, fear, where that was a legit fear of, man, if I'm going through this, are we going to lose clientele? Will they stop, asking me, just assuming that I can't say yes? Will they make the decision for me in their own head that it's going to be a no because I need to prioritize my health, prioritize treatment, prioritize recovery? And so that was a real wrestle throughout that phase.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that my clients still call, because I really think we build a lot of personal relationships once we start working with someone. There's a trust that's established. It's just they become like family, and they called me instead of assuming. They actually called me and asked, and I'm so grateful for that. They're like, we have this, do you think you could take it on? Like, how are you feeling? We don't want to put this pressure on you. And I'm like, please let me have it, please. Please, yes. And we did some of the work I'm the most proud of that year, 2022, while I was in treatments. And I don't know, it was just good stuff, good growth. We went through a lot personally, had a lot happening. I was going through treatments, got through treatments, and recovery is actually still happening. A lot of people think you get through treatments and it's like, oh, you're good now, yay, all your skins are clear, great, you're good. But it takes a long time. I'm on year 3 and I'm still rebuilding my energy and my stamina, my body, my hair. It's like my body is still rebuilding. And so as we're in our healing and personal rebuilding process, Alexis, our operations manager, who has been the backbone of this thing, goes into labor prematurely and has a baby out of state, out of nowhere, 13 weeks early. And she's literally, it's me and her running, all the operations and day-to-day and creative, literally she and I are game planning all the time for everything that we do. So for her to just all of a sudden drop out because she had her own personal thing happening right after our personal thing happened, it was just like, I didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't know what was going to happen. So it's really hard to even plan when something unexpected like that comes up. And then also it was almost like the break, when you're with somebody all the time, like I'm with you all the time, you don't get tired of me, right? Great. So, when you're with somebody all the time, you kind of can get comfortable with where you are, because it's like, oh yeah, this is how we do this. Oh yeah, that's how we do that. When we were forced to be apart, it created room for me to get clarity and to dream in different ways beyond what we normally would goal set for. And that's really what brought about the change for the company going from Wildfire to O Productions. That's what changed the company from doing any and everything to me starting to say no to some stuff. It's like, actually, maybe we shouldn't do that. That's what brought about the clarity of wanting to focus on being a producer-led production company. It kind of just created a lot of clarity around what types of projects we want to take on. Want to do a lot more live events. Like, live events are our jam. And jam.
Oh, jam.
Love live events, and supplementing in the middle with in the in-between of the live events with video production, but really starting to get that distinction and that clarity. That only happened because of that separation that we had to have, and the quiet and stillness that I had to get as a leader to really figure out where's this thing going. The name Wildfire, I was trying to trademark it so that we could expand our horizons, do original content. I go to trademark the name, and my trademark lawyer is like, yeah, nah, this ain't gonna work. It's too many conflicting things, and there's no way they're gonna approve this application. And I was like, well, so my lawyer said, this is not gonna work. You could try to get a coexistence agreement, but there's so many conflicting marks that this is virtually gonna be impossible. So at that point, my options were to either continue with the Wildfire name, which I had had for 6 years, and just keep taking risks out here, or to rename it. And so I was like, well, I mean, when you Google Wildfire, you get all kinds, California Wildfire. Like, it brings up a whole bunch of stuff. So I said, okay, we'll rename it. And in the process of trying to rename it, I was struggling because I didn't want to name it after me, because obviously, like, the model of it is like team emphasis. And so I'm like, I can't name it after me. And then I thought of a name that I did trademark, and I do actually have the trademark for it. But it just wasn't, like, it was like the more I said it, the less I liked it. And the more I heard it, because it's a phrase that's used a lot, also the less I liked it. And so the name, you want me to say it? Is that why you want me to say it?
This is your show. You can decide to reveal or conceal.
Because, I mean, it might become something someday.
Okay.
Because I paid for this, so I need to figure out a way to at least make the money back off of it. So I own the trademark to See What I'm Saying.
See what I'm saying.
We almost stay in the business, See What I'm Saying. And then I was like, that was a good pop. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. Then I was like, I don't know. Because sometimes a lot of people say
it was a deal breaker for you when your mama started saying,
my mama kept saying,
you see what I'm saying?
Like, she would
you see what I'm saying? You were like,
I'm
not doing
like
that.
With an attitude.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
I was like, this is feeling really negative. I'm not a negative person. This is like, it's like, it was conflicting feelings. So I was like, this ain't it. So back to the drawing board we went, and in a moment of frustration, I mean, this was like 6 months of testing different names and trying it. How do you think this feels? And what does this feel like? And doing a mock logo up for something, you know, like, it was a long process of trying to rename. And finally, one night, it's the middle of the night, everybody in the bed, I'm on the couch by myself at home, and I'm sitting there praying. I finally like gave up, and I was like, Lord, can you just give me the name? Can you just tell me? Like, I'm tired of trying to figure this out. And I looked down and I saw that my hands were open. I was like, open hands. Open hands. And then I said, but that's whack. Open hands sounds corny. And he was like, oh. And I was like, oh. So that's where the name came from, and it lined up with like things that were starting to become really big for me, like generosity in our business. So we give away a percentage of our profits, service to our clients. We're always serving, and it requires open hands to be a servant. And then also feeling like this company isn't even mine, it's mine. Like, I'm stewarding it, but ultimately it belongs to God. It belongs to the team that helps. You know, it's like not mine. And so also that open hand of surrender. So surrender, service, generosity, all of those things can be summed up with open hands. This right here. So that's where we got.
Yeah, I think it's neat too, because you have had a prime influence on the direction of the company. Alexis has as well, but you each had seasons where you weren't heavily involved, and it forced you to live open-handed before it became open hands.
Yeah. So that's where O came from. And I love the O, like the excitement of it, because it's also a phrase. So it's like, oh. So we want to get that factor as well when we work. But yeah, I love the name. It's dope.
Great.
I think it's dope.
It's great.
Personally.
Yeah.